Hello, 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 family. How are you all? Let's get situated. Come on in, come on in, come on in. We are definitely multitasking today. We are doing our eclectic counseling services training. Today we're actually going to be training on bullying. So we're going to be training on bullying today, okay? I might not be able to. Hey, lady, thank you for joining Sheena. Sheena's just as sweet as she want to be. She has a lot of good things, y'all. A lot of good offers is taking place with the Candy Diva. So Sheena Jones, I want you all to visit her page. I want you all to like the Candy Diva website. She is doing some great things, and we want to love on her, and we want to support her accordingly, okay? Yes, yes. So, y'all, we're just going to do a quick recap. Every week we get on here, and I got to set it up on Periscope as well. Hello, Periscope. Join in, join in. Invite your followers, Periscope. What's up? What's up? How are you all? So, y'all, we're looking at two videos. So let's get everything situated so we can get it the way we need it to be. And I think that we are ready to roll on both ends, okay? We're ready to roll on both ends. So today we're actually going to talk about bullying, all right? So I do have the PowerPoint available. So we're going to be looking at the actual videos. And we're going to be doing the actual training. So just to do a quick recap, what is these trainings for? Who are they for? Number one, they are for everybody that is associated with Eclectic Counseling Services, okay? So it is for our staff members. It is for, amen, Sheena, come on now. Say that. It is for our staff members. It is for our current clients because we're very transparent in the different techniques that we use. And we want them, to also have insight in how we approach things as well. And, just to be a part of the staff members training. So, in the process of that, we're also training our actual clients. So it works both ways. So we're training both the staff as well as the clients, giving them the resources, giving them the information, the wisdom, and the knowledge, just expanding the knowledge base that they already have, right? This is also for any potential clients. So if you're looking at eclectic counseling and you're like, you know what, she gets on there and she talks about stuff related to Midnight Midwife, but I really don't know her like that. So if you're interested in working with us, or if you're interested in becoming a client or even a staff member, we want to just tell you something about ourselves so that you can know, what you're getting into, so to speak. And this is also for anybody who works in this field and just want to use some tools to sharpen themselves. We're not necessarily accredited by CEUs as of yet, but it is definitely something that you can put on your work employment evaluation. You can put this on your resume that you have completed these trainings, that you've participated, and it will benefit you in terms of even expanding you in the area of your own knowledge as a mental health professional, a social worker, or counselor, a psychologist, or anything in that area, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right in. And first of all, we're going to define bullying. Okay? So I want you all to be able to see this as well so that you all can know that this is not something that's just coming off the top of my head. Define bullying: being exposed to negative actions intentionally and repeatedly, imbalance of power and knowing the difference of that imbalance of power. Personal experiences and examples are things that we're going to be covering during this bullying training today, okay? So we're not going to be here long, okay? We're going to try to do possibly maybe 30 minutes because I have a radio interview that I have to get to today. And so, we kind of want to be able to multitask the counseling agency as well as the ministry, right? And so, first of all, how do you define bullying? Being exposed to negative actions intentionally and repeatedly. being exposed to negative actions intentionally. That means that this person is intentionally playing with you. They are intentionally talking about you, laughing at you, fighting you, intentionally and repeatedly. So that means that bullying says that it only is defined as bullying when this action has been done over a repeated period of time, right? So this is the danger, because we always go deep. Last week we did a training on safety driving. So if you missed that training, tune in to Facebook, because we want you all to get the ins and the out of driving safe, loving yourself, and just taking the proper precaution, right? So just as we went deep in last week, we're going to go a little bit deep in today. So when you define bullying, we're looking at being exposed to negative actions intentionally and repeatedly. Number one, there is no age group that is off limits for bullying, okay? So even though we put emphasis on our children because we want to teach them how to handle bullying, if it does, become a persistent issue in their life. So, we do put emphasis on children. However, it's not limited to children, right? And so when I think about being exposed to negative actions intentionally and repeatedly, the first thing that comes to my mind is the homes that we live in, the homes that our clients live in. Some of us live in homes where, people are being called out of their name on the regular basis. Some people are living in homes, where they are being physically abused. It's past the point of discipline. It's past the point of, when our parents used to get the belt. This is a level of abuse. And so when children are growing up in homes, or when they're growing up in environments that qualifies as bullying, then what that means is they get desensitized to what bullying is. They are completely desensitized to it. They don't even look at it as bullying. They don't think that there's anything wrong with calling somebody out of their name. They don't think that there's anything wrong with cursing out this girl or talking about her mom, because they're growing up in a home where people are constantly talking about each other. People are constantly cursing. People are constantly using violence. So not only are they using violence, with harsh means of discipline, or excessive discipline, but then there's discipline on the TV, there's discipline on the radio. So what happens is that as we live in a society where bullying has become desensitized, then you look at these trainings and it's like, man, I ain't about to tune into that. What's bullying? I don't know what that is. And the reason why we take that approach as if these type of trainings or bullying is not a big deal is because we're actually desensitized to the lifestyle, okay? So first of all, I would just ask that we would all become sensitive to how we talk to each other. Become sensitive to how we treat one another. Become very sensitive to how we respond to one another, okay? And when that type of environment is only allowed to be created where there is no love, okay? So bullying can only take place, whether it's the environment or whether it's actual bullying, when there is no love. And the more love leaves out of our homes, and the more love, leave out of our hearts for one another, then the more hatred comes in. And the more we have hatred towards one another and towards ourselves, then the easier it is to fight somebody without a cause, or curse somebody out and call them out of their name and disrespect them. So whenever there is an environment of bullying, whether it's from your child, whether it's to your child, whether it's from us as adults, whenever there is an environment of bullying, which is negative actions intentionally and repeated over a period of time, whenever bullying takes place, that goes to show you that there is a lack of love that is being displayed, okay? So one of the reasons why a lack of love is able to get in It's because people get burned when they do love people. You know, sometimes people get burned when they do care about people. They get burned when they go out of their way for somebody. And then when they need help, you know, that same person doesn't go out of their way for them. You know, so the different hurts and the different pains of life will kind of, so to speak, teach us how not to love each other. It will teach us how to be cold, how to be selfish, how not to care. Okay. And when we living in that type of environment, what happens is that, you know, it's not, you know, when you're living in an environment where everybody has been hurt by one form or another, or everybody has been disrespected, or, you know, their heart has been broken, or they've been let down by people, you know, then what happens is that hurt people hurts other people, right? Okay. And so when you're living in that environment where you've been hurt and you've been taught not to love, so therefore bullying activity is common, to curse somebody, it's common to talk about somebody, then what happens is that when you yield to that type of negative behavior, what happens is that you're creating more negative behavior. So whereas somebody hurt you before, and now you've learned not to love, now you are creating and reproducing that same hurt in your environment, okay? So that means that that person have infected you, and now you are infecting other people, and now we're living in a common society where people does negative actions to one another intentionally and repeatedly, and we see nothing wrong with it, you know? And we're in a world where, you know, a man, it used to be a time when a man would beat on a woman or fight a woman. Everybody in that neighborhood would stop what they were doing to go and save that woman, to go call the police. You know, but now we're living in an environment where hatred has been exposed so rampantly, you know, because hatred is the environment that bullying thrives in. Hatred is the environment that bullying breeds in. Because where there is love, there is no bullying. Where there is love, there is no negative action that's intentionally or repeatedly, right? So the answer to bullying, of course, is to love, right? And so when you're living in an environment that have lost love for itself, yourself, the people around you, then of course we know that bullying and negative actions is common. But we're living in a society to where, as I just stated before, you can actually see somebody get killed and nobody would call the police. Nobody would intervene. Nobody will break up the fight. You know, we're living in a harsh, unloving, hate-filled environment, okay? Where if a man is beating a woman down to the ground, nobody, not even the other men in the neighborhood, would stand up and say, look, man, you know, chill out, leave this lady alone, you know, you need to fight another man. Nobody is doing that today, okay? And so, you know, that is a problem. It's a problem when, you know, kids are committing suicide from being bullying, from being bullied. It's a problem when police officers, you know, are even shooting kids unjustifiably, you know, so where even the people that we look to, our law officers, you know, have been found guilty in court, have lost their privileges as a police officer, you know, because it's really just a higher form of bullying. You know, is it not? And we're not saying this to every police officer that have shot somebody, you know, in terms of trying to protect themselves or protect the community. And we do understand that, you know, a lot of times when one mistake is made, it paints a bad picture. You know, a lot of times we allow it to paint a bad picture for the entire establishment. And so that's not what we're trying to do here at Eclectic Counseling Services. We're specifically talking about those times in which police officers were found guilty for shooting a child, killing a child unjustifiably. And, you know, the evidence was there. They might have even admitted it. It was on camera. And it just was an obvious, you know, guilty situation. Okay. So that's what we're referring to. Okay. And so when we have that level of bullying, even, you know, in our law force, okay, then that means that our society as a whole is in trouble. Okay, it is in trouble when we don't love each other enough to, you know, ask a man to stop beating on this woman, when we don't love each other enough to break up that fight. And what our society is doing now is we actually move towards bullying, because you know what the first thing we do? We grab the phone and start recording it as if this is a phone. You know, we start recording the bullying and posting it up on Facebook. So that means that we're spreading the bullying. Okay. We're spreading this man, this girl, this boy, this child getting beat unmercifully. And none of us love them enough to say, y'all, stop. Okay. One of the things that we're going to discuss in bullying as well is the different responses to bullying. You know, instead of promoting it by looking at the video, one thing that you can do is walk away from it. You know, one thing you can say is, look, this stuff is not cool. You know, I may not be able to stop them from fighting, but I'm definitely not going to sit here and give this man an audience to beat this woman unmercifully through domestic violence. Is not domestic violence a higher form of bullying? It is, you know, and it's even, and it deals with the emotions, because that woman is emotionally, you know, in love, you know, with this man that is being physically abusive to her. So domestic violence, you know, whether it's law enforcement, you know, injustices, all of that is forms of bullying. And we have to begin to, first of all, love each other. Okay. When we begin to love each other, we will begin to protect each other. You'll begin to stand up for each other. All right. You'll begin to walk away instead of sitting there giving that person, that perpetrator, an audience. A lot of times that perpetrator is performing for the people that's watching them. You know, they're performing for the crowd that's rooting them on, who is basically promoting hatred on a whole nother level. Okay. You know, a lot of times the crowd is saying, yeah, whoop them, fight them. That's a whole nother level of dysfunction and mental, you know, mental unhealthiness. All right. So to speak. And so, a lot of times at the very least, if you're not able to break that fight up, you can at least walk away from it, not to give that person the audience that they're looking for, right? So one thing we have to recognize, and I want to show you all this picture just to keep you in the loop of our PowerPoint. This was a lady that was, you know, an anti-bullying campaign that went out on the news, you know, and you know how badly this lady was beaten. And in that case, that is called direct bullying, okay? So where it is fighting, all right? It's also such a thing as social bullying, where what the person does, thank you so much, Jason, for your feedback. I'm grateful for it. I can't read all of it right now, but you know I will go back and tune in so that I can do just that, right? So this is just the different forms of bullying, and I'm trying to get it on Periscope so that they can see it. I might have to just zoom out in such a way so it's kind of upside down, but you all are able to see that same picture, and that is called direct bullying in that case. Okay, so there is such a thing as what they call social bullying, you know, to where basically, and the force that is behind bullying at the end of the day is control and manipulation. Okay, because you're trying to control somebody else's will, or because they have hurt you, you're trying to make them pay. So control, maybe even anger is involved with that. Control and anger and manipulation. If we were doing the ministry, we would say that there is some spiritual forces that is connected to, that is connected to bullying. All right. It may even, of course, be anger, definitely hatred. Is connected to that. Control, manipulation. That sounds more like Jezebel. It's connected to that. That's, a Jezebel spirit. You might want to look into that. Another thing that's connected with bullying is death. How many people have died, after these physical encounters, or how many people have committed suicide after these physical encounters, okay? So we just saw a picture on an anti-bullying campaign for direct bullying. One of the other forms of bullying, physical, is identified as hitting, pushing, spitting, kicking. Verbal is identified as teasing, cursing, using profanity, threats. Another form of bullying is racial, discrimination. Can be a form of bullying as well, using one's social status or using their race, as superiority over another race, making that other race appear to be inferior. That is social bullying. Gender, when people are making women feel less than because they are women, or making them feel incompetent, as if they cannot do the same, as if they cannot succeed in a certain area because of their gender. Sexuality, a lot of bullying have taken place, in the area of homosexuality, so a person's sexuality can serve as a way in which they're being bullied. Religion, we've had a lot of groups, a major group has really surfaced, who are killing people, based on their religion, torturing them based on their religion. So all of that is forms of bullying, teasing, profanity, threats, racial discrimination, gender biases, sexuality biases, religion biases are all discriminatory, or even discriminatory remarks. That is also bullying. So the nonverbal, they also have nonverbal is a form of bullying as well. You can be nonverbal and still make a threat. You might make it with your middle finger. It might be making a gun gesture with your hand. So there is even, even what they used to call back in my day, ifing at each other, threatening. So threatening each other. So there is also nonverbal gestures to bullying, and even cyberbullying. So that is public humiliation. So public humiliation, you might put out where we've heard stories where there's an inappropriate picture that was put out. We've heard stories where somebody broke up with somebody on Facebook or something like that. Just an embarrassing event. And that event is just being shared, all throughout social media. That is a form of public as humiliation, as well as social humiliation. That is bullying. You have a video on somebody and you're putting that out. That is bullying. Okay. So another thing is social isolation. You have people that, if they don't like you, well, they will try to spread rumors or spread gossip or try to twist the truth to try to get other people not to like you. Okay. That is a form of control, and that is a Jezebel spirit. And I know that, we've already discussed that we're going to keep the counseling separated from the spirituality. So when I do mention different spirits, that is pretty much catering to, the spirituality component that does exist in the therapeutic realm of counseling. And I would be dishonest not to identify those things with you all. So if you've ever had, a friend or a family member, all of a sudden, they don't like you for a certain reason, and then they're trying to get other family members to turn against you, or they're trying to get, other people in your house to see fault with you, or they're trying to get other people at your job, to not like you, all of a sudden sudden you might be the person that the boss really, really like or really, really appreciate. And, but because they're not getting along with the boss, they might try to find a way to say, well, you talked about the boss behind her back, or you didn't get this work done, to try to embarrass you. And that is bullying. That is bullying. That is a Jezebel spirit. That is control. And it's trying to use their influence on people in a negative manner to discredit other people. And one of the ways that you know that it is bullying is because would you want that to be done to you? Would you want somebody to put a video of you on Facebook getting beat up? That's bullying. Would would we want somebody to get everybody at our job and try to turn them against us? So if we don't want those things done to us, then we can automatically qualify that, in some of these scenarios as bullying. Okay, so physical, indirect bullying. So direct bullying is fighting, kicking, cursing, middle finger, that's direct bullying. However, we do have some people whose personalities are passive aggressive, okay? And a passive aggressive personality, it has a little bit of a cowardice to it, okay? Passive aggressive personality has a little bit of a cowardice to it. Not only does it have a bit of a cowardice to it, but it also has a form of, when you're wrong, it's a level of guilt, okay? So when you are right, you're able to stand tall. You're able to say, no, that was wrong. Somebody cheated on the test. Somebody, beat this girl up. She wasn't messing with anybody. That is wrong. But when you're a little bit guilty, okay, and you're afraid that somebody might call you out, you take more of a passive aggressive approach. Now, you're not as aggressive because you know that somebody can deal with you directly, but yet you're still doing things more of an undercurrent. So that's called passive aggressive. So the people that have that personality usually falls into this form of bullying, and this form of bullying is what they call indirect bullying, okay? So that means that they will provoke someone else to harm you. Okay, so they won't be the one that hit you, or they won't be the one that start the fight, but they'll provoke somebody else. These are the type of people that will start rumors. They will do social isolation. They will do cyberbullying. They will hide behind their computers, and use emails or, of something inappropriate, send it through the email. They'll use internet or Facebook or Twitter. And so, these people, they have a passive aggressive way of still tormenting their victim, still tormenting their victim, and I would like to I want to try to show Periscope, even though I think what I'm going to do is I need to put the screen rotation off. That's what we're going to do. So we have here, y'all, and it still ain't working. Ain't this a shame? And so we have types of bullying here. It's indirect bullying. And we're just talking about just getting Periscope caught up, the different types where you're provoking someone else to fight, starting rumors, using social isolation, control, and manipulation. All of that is if you're talking spiritual, all of that connects to a Jezebel spirit, okay? The next key question that we want to answer, thank you so much, Miss Lois Carter. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining. Miss Rodriguez, thank you, Jason Benson, for your feedback. I love you all. Thank you, Miss Chanel Shepherd. I just want to send some shouts out and just say thank y'all for tuning in, and God bless you all. One of the main reasons that people bully is jealousy. If you're having someone that, they might think that you're getting more attention than they are. So what they'll do is, try to humiliate that person on social media, or like we stated before, they'll try to get their boss or their supervisor to turn against them because they're not in good graces with the supervisor. So jealousy is a motivating factor behind bullying. to make other people feel superior, inferior. So to make them feel superior and to make other people feel inferior, that's one reason for bullying, okay? And we're going to talk about that because a lot of times the people that bully actually suffer from low self-esteem. So when they're suffering from low self-esteem, they need to make themselves feel superior in order to feel important. So they're actually depending on, using their social status or using their race or using, whatever that they have to make them feel superior to try to put other people down because they actually suffer from low self-esteem. So they would try to compare their finances or their social status to somebody else's because there's something broken within themselves and there's something missing within themselves, and they're using their social economic status or even their superiority or even their born given race as a way to make them feel like they are higher than someone else. Another reason why people bully is to be accepted. They figure if they're a lot of times people bully other people because someone bullied them. And when they were being bullied, they felt like they were on the out crowd. They felt like they were a reject. So what they learned to do is say, well, look, I'm going to be the person that's going to do the bullying, so that I can feel accepted, so that I can be in the in crowd, so that I can push, somebody else, out of the in crowd so that I can feel important, So to be accepted, some people do it for attention. And we've already discussed that they do it for control. People bully for power. People bully because they want the status of the person that they're trying to destroy. Some people, we know that Jezebel spirit has a way of getting things by a negative means. Okay, so that means that if they want the next promotion, well, what they'll do is, well, how can I, they'll make a statement like, well, how can I disqualify her because I want the next promotion, but really she's more qualified than me. So they'll take a stance like that. That's control, that's manipulation, that's Jezebel all day. Because the real thing is when you lose control, when you lose control, I didn't say lose control, but when you lose control, you learn to trust life. You learn to trust, whoever is actually in control behind the scenes of things, okay? And you learn that when your time comes, that you're ready to be a supervisor, you're able to trust that door will open up and it will come to you without you having to become a vicious, cutthroat or backstabbing person for a position. Because a lot of times when you get a position that way, a lot of people have learned that you've also lose that position that way, right? So rather than just being patient, rather than just trusting, the person that's going to do the hiring, that they're going to make the best decision, that they're going to be able to see your ability. And number 3, a lot of times, there's a form of laziness. A lot of people that have a bullying nature, they're lazy. They're jealous of you, because you're getting up and you're doing the work and you're writing and you're typing and you're missing days of sleep and you're getting to work on time and you're dressing appropriate and you're getting the necessary education and the experience to promote you for the position. But while you're doing that, they're lazy. They don't want to do the work, but yet they still want the promotion. They don't want to do the work to become a better person, but yet they still want to feel superior. They don't want to do the work to get the proper attention, so they find a way to shortcut the process. They say, well, if I destroy her, then I can build myself up. And that's a very basic level of thought. Okay, it's really like a caveman mentality. It's very basic. It's very it's a low grade of thinking. it takes a very low grade of thinking to say, well, if I destroy her, she's my problem. Or if I destroy him, he's my problem. Then I can get the position, or I can get this, or I can get that. Because what you're going to find out when you use that level or that means to get promoted, what you're going to find out is that that person is not the only person that's applying for the job. So what are you going to do for the next person that's in line for the promotion that still may not be you? So how far are you going to, how far are you going to use that tactic, and how low would that person allow that level of thinking to bring them down to, in terms of their character, in terms of their personality? Is it really worth it to gossip, to fight, to backstab, to control, to manipulate, or did you really earn the job or the position earnestly? And if you was to get the position, are you qualified for it? Just because you backstab 3 people out of that position being a bully, it still doesn't mean that you're qualified to do, what they have backstabbed those people in order to do, right? So, and it doesn't mean that that's our time. Sometimes we have to wait our time. Sometimes we have to get the work honestly, because when you get it honestly, you're going to be properly prepared for everything that comes with that position. If you're trying to be popular in school, you don't have to beat somebody down in order for you to be popular, because what happens is when that fight is over with, well, your 1 minute of fame is done. They watch the fight, they put it on Facebook, you got the crown, but what are you going to get next week when you still feel overlooked, when you still feel like you're not the popular kid on the block? What are you going to do then? Beat somebody else up and go to jail? Or beat up the wrong person and run the risk of you getting hurt or getting killed, okay? So we have to really, look at things, and the reason why that is a low grade of thinking is because it deals with it almost like instant gratification. Well, let me just beat this person up. Let me just talk about their mom. Let me just do that. That's instant gratification. But real success comes with delayed gratification. Real success is when you put in the work. Real success, in order to really become popular, is when you really get to know people and you get to love them and you're asking them, how are you doing? How can I help you? Let's be friends. What do you do, after work? So real success might cause you to, instead of trying to be popular overnight because of a 1 minute of fame of a fight that's not going to last in terms of getting you the attention that you're looking for, that real, delayed gratification and real popularity comes when people know that you are loving, that you're caring, that you're trusting, and they know that they can come to you, right? So 3 things that we want to identify, okay? One thing is, some people identify rough play. Okay, so you have rough play, you have bullying, and you have fighting. All right, so rough play, some people might say, well, man, I wasn't really, fighting that girl like that. I wasn't really doing that. I was just playing with her. Okay, so now, sometimes people do that, and they get out of the consequences of their behavior, but you're looking at the nature of the relationship with rough play. Okay, if this girl does not know you like that, or if that guy don't know you like that, then you're not able to hit him in his face and say, oh, I was just playing. Okay, so rough play, what is the nature of you all's relationship? Are you family? Are you best friends? Have you been playing with each other like that since kindergarten? What's the nature of your relationship? And if you don't have that nature of a relationship that would allow you to play rough with that person, then if you was to get physical with that person, or if you was to use any of those tools that we talked about, direct bullying or indirect bullying, well, if you did use those tools, then it does not qualify. If you don't have that type of relationship established with that person, that does not qualify to be rough play. Okay, it means that you're fighting or you're bullying. The next thing is, what is the atmosphere of the interaction? So if it is a fun atmosphere, if you're at the park, if it's a basketball game, okay, that can be considered as rough play. Okay, rough play usually qualifies as a balance of power. So there is a balance of power. That means that me and this person, we're the same size. We have the same strength. And that means that she's not able to overtake me and I'm not able to overtake her. So there is a balance. Now, it's hard to justify rough play if this man is 500 pounds, muscle bound, and he's fighting, rough playing with a woman that's 90 pounds. Okay, so that is an imbalance of power. So that's not considered rough play. And as we stated before, the atmosphere of interaction, is it fun? Is it lighthearted? Is this a fair? The nature of the relationship. Do you have that built into the relationship where you can play like that? And rough play is occasionally. It is rare. Okay, rough play is rare. You cannot say, every time the police, and we're going to discuss the police again. Every time the police come out to the home because of a domestic violence report, you cannot say, oh, I was just playing with her, and here it is. This is, 8 days in a row. Now, there's no rough play taking place 8 days in a row. Okay, so that is, the rough play, the occasion must be rare. It must be a balance of power, so both of your strength must be similar. The atmosphere, must be lighthearted. The atmosphere of interaction must be that of a positive one. And the nature of the relationship must establish that it is okay for you all to play in that magnitude. Bullying, when you think of it, is humiliation. It is a harmful intent, okay? So there is no nature of a relationship. It is harmful. It is humiliating. They're trying to degrade you. They're trying to take power from you. They're trying to take status from you. They're trying to isolate you. They are doing the opposite of loving you. They are expressing their feelings through bullying, which is a form of hate. Why do we know that bullying is a form of hate? The reason why we know that bullying is a form of hate, whether it is social isolation, whether it's trying to turn other people, other friends, other family against that person, that is a form of hate, because if you love that person, you would not treat them that way. So if love entered in the room, all of a sudden the profanity would stop. All of a sudden, the manipulation and the control and the gossip and the fighting and the profanity and trying to get the other person to fight the person, that's an indirect form of bullying. When you try to get somebody else to fight them, all of that would stop, okay? So bullying is an expression of hatred. That's where the racism has come from. And we've already talked about that bullying is connected to death. A lot of people have died from it, have committed suicide. Bullying is a form of hatred. It's a form of anger. It's a form of control. It's a form of manipulation. It is truly a Jezebel spirit, because, it is a person trying to find the way to control the will, or to control the life or the atmosphere or the popularity or the promotion of another person. So that is a Jezebel spirit, okay? And so bullying also, when you think about the atmosphere of interaction with bullying, you're looking at a negative, hostile atmosphere. Okay, so bullying has a negative, hostile atmosphere. And in bullying, there is usually an imbalance of power. Okay, so bullying has an imbalance of power where you might have somebody bigger than the other person, and that's where it's manipulation. Because if you're really trying to be cool and earn some stripes, then more than likely you should fight somebody that is equal to you in your size. But the manipulation comes in because they find somebody weaker. and they find somebody, who's not expecting them, and then they strike in that form. Okay. So with bullying, there is a nature of the relationship is humiliation. It is harmful. The atmosphere is hostile and negative. There is an imbalance of power. One person might be stronger than the other one. One person might be more wittier than the other one. One person might be able to tell more of a joke. You know how they used to joke a lot. I was never the one that would joke, so you always had that person that could come up with the good jokes and the good rhymes. And so, that's an imbalance because they're better at talking about somebody or making jokes on somebody than the other person is. And a lot of people get very good at making jokes and talking about other people because that's the homes that they grew up in. Everybody talked about each other. Everybody joked about each other. And needless to say, they grew up in a home where there was no love. And so as we just doing a recap, when you grow up in a home where there is no love, these bullying tactics are common for you to gossip. It's common for you to talk about somebody else. It's common for you to isolate somebody else. It's common for you to be jealous to try to get that person in trouble with their supervisor, instead of actually doing the work to earn, those promotions and to earn the trust of your family members or to earn the trust of your friendships. You're trying to knock that other person out the way, thinking that that's going to make people look at you. And that is a dark force, and it is a dark way of thinking. Okay. And it is an expression of bullying as well as hatred. Another thing with bullying is, as we stated, rough play is usually rare. Well, bullying is repeatedly, so you will find in bullying that every time you get ready to say something, this person got something smart to say. It's repeatedly. Every time you get ready to do something, they got something to say about what you did or how you did it or why you did it. So it's never just a one-time event, where, oh, well, maybe I would have done it like that. It's never a one-time event. In bullying, it is just constantly. Okay, it is constantly. Fighting, okay, we're going to identify fighting. The nature of a relationship with fighting, that can be, a fun relationship that turns into a fight, or it can be a hostile, humiliating, harmful, relationship such as bullying that leads into a fight. So fighting can be sporadic. It can be best friends that can fight. Say the wrong thing, a trigger can pop off, and then a fight can ensue. Okay. Another thing that quantifies or qualifies fighting is, the atmosphere can be versatile. It can be a fun atmosphere in the middle of, of a field day. People have unfortunately gotten to a fight, maybe even, at a ball game, or even at other, maybe even spiritual events. Somebody can get upset with one another. So the atmosphere with fighting, can be a hostile atmosphere like bullying, or it can be an atmosphere of interaction, positive interaction. So like I say, fighting is sporadic. With fighting, as we stated, in rough play, usually there's a balance of power between the two people that are involved or the two involved parties. Whereas with bullying, there is an imbalance of power. Well, with fighting, there can be both. You can be equal in power status, equal in terms of your social status, equal in terms of popularity, or you can be equal in strength, equal in height, equal in weight, or you can, be unequal in your popularity status, or unequal, in your strength or your physical status. Okay. With fighting, with rough play, we quantify that it is rare. Rough play is rare. You're not rough playing with each other 7 days in a row. Okay. And the same thing, with bullying is repeatedly, every time you say something, this person has a rebuttal or a response, or before you can say something, they have a response or something to say. All right. With fighting, it can be you're fighting with this person can be fighting all the time, or it can be a rare thing where the person might only fight with them once a year, or, it might be something where they fought 10 years ago. So fighting is not as clearly defined. We're actually going to do a part 2 of bullying on next week. So we're going to close out for today. I just wanted to give you some strong foundation with the bullying. One thing that we learned with bullying is that you're only able to give the atmosphere and the environment that exists in the inside of you. Okay? So if you don't love yourself, and if you're always hard on yourself, you're negative of yourself, you never have anything positive to say about yourself, you're always critiquing yourself, you're not willing to make the necessary changes, to motivate yourself to become that worker that can qualify for that promotion without cutting somebody else down. So then that means that you don't necessarily believe in yourself. So when people suffer from low self-esteem, a lot of times that's what they create for other people. They create this type of environment, of hostile environment, where they talk about people, they laugh at other people, they put other people down for trying to become somebody better because they don't believe that they can become somebody better. Okay, so as we stated before, bullying is an expression of hatred. And bullying is often expressed. Okay, so we're making it very clear. Bullying is an expression of hatred. Because where there is love, bullying cannot exist. Okay, another thing, people bully out of unforgiveness, holding a grudge against each other, anything that can justify that hatred, is where bullying comes into play. All right, and so we discussed that bullying is a form of hatred. And only a person, for the most part, that carries self-hatred can replicate that self-hatred and inflict it on someone else. Okay? So when somebody is bullying another person, you have to look at what is going on within that woman where she's gossiping about that other woman. Where is she weak at? Where is something that she has low self-esteem at? It is not hard to find. And the sad thing about the people that bully, the perpetrators, is that they don't see that other people can see them as weak. They actually think that it makes them look cute. They actually think that it makes them acceptable. They actually think that it has brought their social status up in terms of popularity. But the real people who don't exist on that lower level of thinking that we've already discussed, tearing somebody down to build them up, people that don't live on that lower level of thinking is looking at that bully like, what's wrong with her? That person looks nice. What's wrong with her? That girl does a great job. What's wrong with him? Where he can't be happy for someone. So really the bystanders a lot of time is laughing at the bullies. A lot of times those bystanders or those audiences that the bully or the perpetrator is performing for, a lot of times those bystanders are walking away like, man, look, she is really crazy. I really wouldn't get that close to her like that, okay? And so the reason why they're saying that is because it's very obvious to other people when that bully is putting somebody else down or critiquing them or jealous of them, trying to tear them down. It's very obvious to other people that that bully first of all, don't love themselves. And when they don't love themselves, they cannot love someone else. They cannot promote somebody else's joy. They cannot promote somebody else's happiness. They cannot promote and applaud somebody else's success because they are only giving their victim what lies within their own unhealed, hate-filled, low self-esteem, dark heart. So they're giving that to their victims. And so we have to realize that bullying, exists in a hateful hate-full environment. It's a hate-filled atmosphere. That's where we get that hostile atmosphere from, because, and we know that bullying it comes from an atmosphere of hate, because where there is love, bullying cannot exist. And so not only does bullying exist in a hate-filled atmosphere or a hate-full atmosphere, hate-filled atmosphere, but it also comes out of the heart of a hate-filled person. And a lot of times that hate is self-hate. It is low self-esteem. And it is issues within themselves that they must rectify so that they can become a healthy, whole, loving person who is able to not only love themselves, but the overflow that they grow to have for themselves will begin to, the love that they have for themselves will begin to overflow on the people that is around them, opposed to the hate that they have for themselves overflowing on the people that's around them. God bless you all. I am Romonica Jones. I am your licensed counselor. I am also your midnight midwife. Check us out on our website. That is www.eclectic. That is www.eclectic, eclecticcounselingservices.com. Check out our services. See if you would like to join us as a staff member. See if you would like to join us as a contractor. See if you would like to join us as a client. We would love to serve you and pour into you. It is our job. It is what we do. Visit us on that website. Also visit www.liveblessedglobalministries.com, where we respond to others positively. We believe in uplifting, and our model is always empowering. Go ahead and purchase that book on Live Blessed Global Ministries. It is $5. It is Metamorphic Handbook for the King as well as the Queen. It is a $5 seed that you're sowing, and it's definitely, we're not trying to get anything from you. We're trying to get something to you, and it is how to turn your pain and your shame into your gain. So if you've grown in a household where there was not love, where bullying tactics was acceptable, people talked about each other, gossiped about each other, cutthroat each other, there's a lot of unhealed pain there. And so that book will definitely be able to help you through that. It'll be able to help you through, some of those issues so that you can become, the wife, the husband, the mother, the business owner, the minister, the parent. You can become the community leader that you were created to be, right? So we want you all to purchase that book. Also, I have a radio interview again today, y'all. It is amazing. So you can tune back in with me at 4:30, where I will be periscoping as well as Facebooking live for our second radio interview. So wish me luck. Say a prayer for me. God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next week for the next training. It'll be our third training video. April Noble, thank you so much for sharing, lady. Love you as well. Thank you for sharing. It'll be our third training video. You can tune in next Tuesday at either Facebook or Periscope, with Eclectic Counseling Services, as well as our nonprofit Live Blessed Global Ministries, that will be glad to serve you and glad to be available to you. God bless you. Thank you, and have a great day. I hope this bless you. Share it with somebody. Tell somebody about it. Thank you in advance. Thank you.